It's Aries season, and we're talking leadership in the new era and leadership in the Aries.
Have our leaders failed us, or we failed by giving our power away, or both? Coming up on Leading Out Loud.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading out loud. Leading out loud. Leading out loud.
Welcome to LOL Leading Out Loud, the shift show where you can watch it and later blame us on your migraine. I'm Sensei Christopher Otaki, the Sensei to Serious Joy, and I'm joined here with my co-host,
Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor. How are you doing today, Christopher?
I'm doing well, but today we're talking about leadership.
Okay.
I'm doing well. Actually, I'm doing fucking fantastic, man, because Aries energy is amazing to me. It fuels me. It used to be a scary energy. Now it's a hairy energy. More on that later.
Hairy energy, yeah. Well, I have playful. I just want to like not work and play with you. If I feel like I want to have fun with you and shoot the shit with you. So we'll do it in the show as much as we can.
That's cool. That's great. It certainly doesn't work when we're off camera, but it does work here. Well, we've seen over the last few decades, but especially during the pandemic, a failure of leadership. From politics to business, the systems and institutions are definitely failing us, we the people. And that's ironically one Pluto rotation after the Declaration of Independence. Pluto's now returned to that same place. Scott?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what are we doing right now? I'm sorry. I got lost in
I love it. I love it. Believe it or not, that was rehearsed, folks. That was rehearsed. So he did a good job. Good job.
But yeah, look, there's a lot of things we can talk about when it comes to leadership that we have now. It's like, we can say they've taken the power away, but did we give it away? I think that's the major emphasis we want to discuss today too, is that factor, because I tend to think it's both, but we'll kind of get into it as we break it down in today's episode too.
And we'll get into how the spiritual community can help us and lead in the future on our own. That's what Unite the Light's about, for instance. But Let's talk about, first of all, what's going on with the collective. Let's talk about the zodiac weather. And Scott, why don't you give us your take in the third eye view of where things are?
Well, I always say too, week to week can always sound similar because there's not always many changes week to week, but I feel like really pumped with Aries season, actually. So as I predicted, last year too, like May, June of 2025, that's when the things will start getting in gear, getting in motion, more so in our individual lives. I, for one, actually moving May 1st. I seem to be moving all the time in May, but I see a lot of others moving in May, June. So I really feel like the crank, is kind of, the gear is cranking up right now for movement. So once it's done with that cranking, we're going to have a lot of bursts of energy moving ahead. So a lot of inspiration. A lot of guys might be doing your moves as well. And so, or bowel movements, whatever's effective. So there will be a lot of changes. So I think right now, the advice I'd give for this week ahead is kind of brace yourselves, because there is going to be that kind of scattered burst of energy that maybe you can't contain. Don't let it be so impulsively expressed. Make sure you're maintaining your levels of sanity, but also allowing yourself to understand the difference between playful energy, work energy, relaxation energy. So this way you don't feel scattered. You'll feel more of that energy build up in that movement. So it's more emotional, more energetically. And I think it's the week ahead too. I also feel a lot of progressions with people's work situations. So, or contracts. I see like contracts being able to be signed or contracts being able to be completed. So if there's any type of legalities that were not being settled, I feel this is a time the legalities will start settling in place and resolutions and agreements being made. So I see a lot of that kind of completion too within the next, week to month ahead as well. So a lot of solidification, a lot of stability, a lot of security, and a lot of newer directions. So what do the planets say?
Sounds very Aries. Well, first let's review last week. I mean, we had a 23-degree full moon lunar eclipse last Friday in Virgo. Yeah. Now that's a big deal. An eclipse basically is a cosmic slap from the universe to realize what's going on with the dark. It releases the dark, okay, because it's the shadow of the Earth on the moon. So that means all the earth shadow gets projected for everyone to see, which means that the wife catches the man cheating, or you realize the company's extorting you. Like, you realize these dark things, and you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you see movement, right? So that started last week, and then Saturday last week we have Mercury retrograde. As I like to say, Mercury is retrograde. So Mercury is retrograde, Venus is retrograde, and so that means that we're going inward. So our mind and our openness, so us being open, goes inward. So we're in this inward, open up on the inside, and to really think differently on the inside. Now that is what is that's the precipice of real change, real re-evolution, human re-evolution. But that clock is ticking. All right, the Sun and Neptune conjoined yesterday. Holy shift! I mean, I was on fire yesterday. Some of the stuff that happened to me, I can't even talk about yet, but it was so magical and incredible. I mean, for me, and for, Sirius Joy, first of all, has a solar eclipse at 29 Pisces, which I'm very proud of because I didn't plan that. That's the highest spiritual thing you can get in your chart. So our company has the highest spiritual thing you can get in our chart. So it was like sort of the activation of Sirius Joy's, I'd say, next leg, if you will. So that was exciting. And I saw some real things walk in the door that proved it. The universe showed me and gave me some gifts that we'll be talking about later. So what that meant for everyone else who's not as lucky as me, no, I'm just kidding, it means that yesterday was the activation of everyone's spiritual mission. Okay. 29 Pisces is the degree of pushing the envelope of spirituality. So when, Jesus came and said, y'all, there's another world out there. We have this Heavenly Father. It's not many gods. It's one God. Like, he was upgrading spiritual views at that time. We were what's the word for gods? I can't remember.
Polytheists.
Polytheists. Yeah. We're
Deists,
polytheists. We're polyamorous at the time. Everyone was fucking everyone in bathhouses in Rome. Like, it was a time when people were not really under this one idea of God.
Right.
The same is true now with this particular time. Neptune at 29 Pisces. Again, we're going to raise the ceiling of what spirituality is. I feel like our brand is one that's here to do it in a non organized religious way. But it does mean now that you're going to see tremendous amounts of light workers coming to the scene here between now and July. And coming to the scene simply means that products, services, just cool ideas that ultimately reveal who they are on the inside. And I think, what's interesting is we'll talk about this as far as the solutions portion of it, but what's happening is a hybriding between light workers and business. It's conscious capitalism. Because if money rules, well, then Jesus should have been a businessman, basically. Because he could have had little Jesus, he could have sold Jesus icons and stuff like that. The point is, by uniting those powers that are traditionally separated, I think that's where revolution comes. But for the week ahead, though, it's the beginning of Aries season. And so that means that, with this retrograde stuff going on, there's a lot of inward happening. But I believe what's happening at the core is what I call the birth of the we-go. So my idea is that we were born with an ego, biologically tied to us, that basically had only one mission: survive. Right? And now that we have robots picking our fruit and a Twinkie that can last on a shelf for 12 years, we don't have to worry about survival so much anymore. And so we don't really need that basic ego. Human design has a similar thing. Ra, who is the creator of human design, said that the ego is going to dissolve into a new form between this year and next year also. So astrology and Ra are right on the same path. And it ultimately means that now the ego has a different premise and a different motive. And that motive is the we consciousness, that it's about not just me, but how I am part of the whole. And I think what's happening this week is the old ego is going to break down. So I'm predicting, this upcoming week, the 24th through the 28th, basically, so everyone having a minor breakdown if you haven't already. And that breakdown basically comes to, I've had enough, right? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. And God basically says to that question, well, then what are you going to do about it inside yourself? How are you going to change yourself? Because your own motives inside yourself have been what has been allowing the corruption, creating the corruption, et cetera.
Well, that's the thing, and thanks for that extensive summary.
Yours too, buddy.
We find, because mine was short and snappy, but we'll
record that. Adam, can we get 90 times on this, please?
Come on, we're the fact checkers over here. No, but I think, coming from a place like you were saying before, there was polytheists and people kind of revering different gods. We've been kind of doing that in culture with politicians, celebrities. We've just been doing it in the wrong facet, in the wrong way. That's really not been inspired. And so I agree with you in the sense of the rising of light workers, or even those who maybe have had some sort of spiritual gifts, determining now to be light workers. And a lot of light workers are trying to capitalize on their services, what they provide, as they should. should, because that keeps them in business, allows the light working corporations to expand in that sense. So I think that's definitely what people are going to be feeling a lot of too. And I agree with the beside yourself energy of feeling like that breaking down of the ego. I'm a big one to say it's not about killing the ego, it's about nurturing the ego to understand what its job and role is, so it doesn't try to rule a show. And that means we're coming from the heart-centered, heart-focused, perspectives. So I think a lot of that is why I'm sensing movement. Now, people always hear retrograde and they get scared and run from it and blame retrograde for everything. A lot of great things happen during retrogrades too. A lot of pushes, a lot of getting you out of your comfort zone happens during retrogrades. I primarily feel this one is about that. And so it really depends. Someone mentioned in the comments that they don't sign contracts during retrograde. It's like, well, it depends on the retrograde, depends on the timing. Also depends on where you're at with that retrograde too, because it actually be a good time to do so. So I don't think we need to be so in panic about these astrological movements. There's a duality to those powers. How do you want to utilize those powers and energies? And so I think there's a good time during Erie season to ignite that fire, ignite that expression, to actually get things accomplished, tackled. And a lot of the passions, like, you've been feeling too, Christopher, like a lot of like this passion, inspiration. I've been feeling it too, like really want to like express it. So there's gonna be a lot of that within creative workers and light workers too, to get that momentum building. So I think it's a great month, for that, and to get things going, especially going into June as well. So
we're titling the month of Aries, because now at Serious Joy we moved to just the month of the sign now. We don't do actual calendar months. So the month of Aries is christening the Wego. So we think the Wego is going to be christened. And I think the old ego is going to die, basically. Yeah. And the retrograde, retrogrades are inward. It's like inhale. Retrograde is inhale. Direct is exhale. Inhale, exhale. You can't live a life just exhaling. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So we have to inhale. And honestly, as far as the signing contracts on retrogrades, there's a lot of misinformation out there. The truth is that if an opportunity comes to you in the retrograde, you should wait till direct. Okay. But if you've already explored it under direct consciousness, you can do anything you want in the retrograde. Yes. Usually when a contract gets signed in a retrograde, it means it's actually based on a past life. So if you do something in a retrograde, you're doing past life correction is what's happening. So I actually get all my business done in a retrograde. Well, everyone's like, walking, I don't want to say this, but, standing around with their thumb up their ass. That's what my mom used to say. I am just like, woof, like zipping through, like, like I'm on those walking, sidewalks in the airport. Yes, I'm just like flying by, and people come back like, oh, so glad it's over. It's like, hey, new Serious Joy. Like we're ready, like with a whole new shot.
Totally. I just said that to someone in a session the other day. I said, when you release all that burden, then like you're like the person on that sidewalk, and we can utilize the retrograde energy to do that. And I always make a major change in May or September. Actually, my 2 months, I make major changes in May all the time.
Which rising again? You have Virgo rising. So Virgo rising. So May is right before. Okay, you have Virgo rising, right? So so that's your house of belief, structure, and purpose. So during belief and purpose, then you always make changes, and then you're right into your career in Gemini.
Interesting. Yeah, because I'm actually moving in with my partner. Actually, that's a big change.
So we've heard. So we've heard.
No more Aqua single life, guys. It's
my goodness.
In the trash.
That tells you right there, guys. If Aquarius getting married, oh my God, that's the age of Aquarius, baby. Like Aqua's settling down. If you ever meet like an old guy at a bar who's never been married, Aqua.
You give us such a bad rap with that. That's
I know, but I'm setting up for your success. You need the darkness to show off your light.
Okay, all right.
I love Aquas. I love them. I'm glad they're finally participating. Honestly, we could. No, we had Aquas I tried to partner with and ended up like flaking and not pulling off because I think I don't know where you were in your past, but I bet you were hard to work, like not hard to get down, to regular schedule. I just say
you're the Aquas,
just my friend. Get tied down to stuff. I didn't know you back then. You might have been. Maybe you were, reliable. I don't know. No, you're reliable to us.
I'm very reliable. I'm very, very. When Aquarius decide to do something, we're all in.
Until they don't. Right.
But if we're getting wishy-washy energy from other people, we'll be wishy-washy, like, whatever, I'm not really going to invest. But when we get to, like, you're serious. When I met you, you're just like, you're Serious Joy. And I'm like, I like this person's efficient. I love Taurus energy. They're stubborn. No, they don't listen, but that's okay. But I love tenacity. So you and I both connect on that tenacity level, so, and that's what we do. Us Aquas love that energy. We love that energy.
Yeah, we love it too. We're squared. Technically, we're going off on a tangent here, but it's fun. When you have squared energy, like in classic astrology, they say squares are bad. I think squares are amazing because, like, I can count on Scott as a tent pole. Like he's over there covering his territory. I'm not his territory. He's not my territory. will we see each other, we can coordinate. It's like being a stop sign and coming like this. It's like,
Right.
that's what a square is. I think classic astrology has a lot of negative connotation and that's not true. But,
Right.
but getting back to our topic, what's coming is that what's happening is inside people are realizing inside that they're healing from their stuff. They really are. And my God, I really don't give a shit about this or that anymore. I'm not going to be worried about this or that. So that was all Pisces. Like, I'm letting all this go. I'm done. I'm tired of these things. And then once you're done and you realize, oh shit, now that I have no problems, what do I do?
Right.
Because people are just focused on that. And so inside there's this, I want something more. That's the hunger that's building.
Yeah.
Now, I want something more is the birth of the we go. Okay. Because even if you're like launching your dream, you're going to sell it to the rest of the world. Right.
Right.
Like, so, we're all business partners at the end of the day.
And I want to chime in with that too, because I've been like feeling really led spiritually to talk about consumption, talking about like, and wanting more, like what's wanting more is like, it's not about like consuming more, it's about being more. And I think people tend to feel that like hyper energy, like I need this, I need that. It's like, no, you need to express this and express that and become that new version. Right. So I've been very and sometimes spirit wants me to be repetitive, and Asako is hate being redundant and repetitive, but when spirit needs us to, we will. But I think that people need to understand when you feel like you need something and you feel like you're wanting to acquire something, it's that you're trying to express something. Find out what the expression is, because it's really not about like, I need to put this in my life. Sometimes you need to clear that space out and express and allow things to come in. That's the attraction method, right?
Yeah.
And so I think now is a perfect time with Aries, with that fire, like we were talking about before, to where we start realizing I want new expressions. I want new people around me. Yes, but I'm expressing what I haven't. I'm taking what I've been things I had reservation on. I'm pulling that reservation off, and now I'm being very vibrant in that energy. And I think that's where people really start acquiring what they want, in a sense. The physical conditions start filling in naturally. The people start surrounding them, and and connecting like wildfire in that sense, when it comes to like the goodness spreading, the goodness sharing, the goodness connecting. And I think that's really the true essence, because I think we're entering a phase 2, Christopher, where manifestation phase, where things are start manifesting, right? Things come to fruition. So making sure you're being expressive, not consumption oriented.
That's a good point. I feel you're right. I feel actually consumption to me is that you're trying to experience yourself outside of you,
Right.
and so you're consuming things that kind of vibrate you for a minute, like that
Right.
heroin last night, like that made me vibrate. I'm kidding, but it's like it makes you vibrate like you, and so you're consuming.
Right.
But what happens is once you know who you are, that's why self-realization is so important. That's why actually I built Serious Story the school, like what I did before I went into this sector, which is we're launching entertainment. Because if people can't find themselves and know who they are, they don't really know what they want, and they're not really ever satisfied. So part of the consumption model is you don't know what you want, and you're consuming to fill in a void, and so it's just an empty void you keep filling in, keep filling.
Yeah, never stop. The consumption never stops. You always need more. You never appreciate when you get it. So you just need more and more. And it's like want to me is a deprivation. When you want something, you're deprived of something. We don't want to stay in deprivation. And so we have to understand what we're wanting is the excuse of expressing what we could express now,
Oh, totally. And it needs to be in the now as well.
Yeah.
And I would say kind of that's, to kind of summarize this and move on. I feel like that's what's happening. I think inside, to very much parallel to what Scott's saying, is people are coming to that realization they're not satisfied, right? The inside. And so that's the birth of the we go right there. I'm not satisfied. I want something more. And that's good. That's the whole point of Earth, is to keep growing and growing and growing. I believe want is something you don't want to have, but desire is cool. You can desire something.
Right.
There's a difference in the word too. You should use desire.
Yeah.
Not do
Desire can be present. Yeah. Like I desire my mate, or I desire this doing the show. Like it could very be present. Wanting is always like
that's a good point. I'm like, when you desire, you are in the present. When you want, it's like you're separated from it. And what wanting does is create more wanting, because remember, what you be is what comes. So if you be wanting tomorrow.
Right.
Desire is a little bit different, but we are here to seek our desires. We are here to create treasure on earth. We are here to create our dreams and make them true. And really what's happening is we are firing up this new inner fire inside of ourselves, which is going to turn into a huge explosion, I think, over the summer. And I'll just dangle the carrots with that. But we're going to talk about, after our break, what our relationships with leaders should be, and how are we giving away our power by believing in leaders more than believing in ourselves. But first, Scott has something to talk to you about. I think it's self-fulfilling prophecy. Scott?
Well, I mean, there's a lot going on in the world today. So we do need that leadership. We do need that guidance. We also need our discernment and our intuition. So I do offer a course called Intuition Builder. If you want to tap into your own abilities, there's a lot of light workers that are lingering around that need just guidance. I've been a psychic medium since I was a child, and I've, used my experience of evolving from my own trauma, resolve my own trauma, to mentor those who do the same and to get into the depths of their own subconscious, their psyche, as well as their past life experiences and where they go in the future and how to utilize that experiences to enhance your psychic awareness. Book a session at scottcruzpm.com, and here's a little commercial to kind of like feed you guys on that a little bit.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit, bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.
We have to air that show just so that song because people tend to fall asleep. So we just got to make sure.
Come alive. Actually, every time all your commercials and your music is kind of 80s to me. It flashes me back to like film school where I was in the film cage and like, what was it? Depeche Mode. Oh my God. Depeche Mode was always playing in the film cage. It's like all these girls with like long black hair and they're just like, it's really kind of cool.
80s.
Yeah. Totally 80s, man. Totally. Come alive. All right. So let's get into leadership and the state it's in today. We'll talk about this. It's going to be a fun topic because I have a lot to say on this topic. First of all, I just want to say the United States of Dumb America deserves what it gets. We have been creating this situation for many years. I think it's strategic by Rockefeller families, but we can talk about that another time. But the mere fact that we have multiple choice is one example of how we're fit into categories and told not to think outside the box. Literally, do not think outside of 5 answers. There's 5 answers to this, and these are all the right answers. Pick one answer, and you'll be right. And we'll graduate to the next grade. I think the lowering of educational values is obvious. It's like, kids are coming. I mean, right? I can't believe how many illiterate, the number of literacy is going up. It's like, what the fuck? Can you not even learn on your iPhone how to read? Like, what is that? That's crazy. And TV. I blame TV and film. I'm sorry. I blame TV and film with shallow pond news. Fucking news articles that just tell you the first 5 W's in the H and then they go to a stupid comment with someone in the field, or all the documentaries are based on murder. Like, what the, really, how many murders do I have to investigate? How much fucking crime scene shit do I want to look at? Like, honestly. And babies, oh my God, all these baby whining and complaining talk shows like The View and The Talk where they're sitting there whining, complaining, never a solution ever. And then when I want to watch something fun, it's syndication of Friends. I'm going to watch more effing Friends again. Friends, really? Friends, really? I'm going to watch Friends again. So it's like, sorry, guys. I think we are to blame. We deserve this situation. We had it coming the whole time. And like idiots, like sheep, we just walked right in the slaughterhouse without saying anything. We didn't say anything.
I have to say, we've been groomed for a long time with this. I'm telling you, since television, how they started with television and product placement and telling you what's good for you and it's not good for you. Remember the day you used to preach and advertise how healthy cigarettes and alcohol was, Camel, the healthier cigarette, by your doctor. Like there was all that weird stuff that we were just like so enamored by because it was fed to us. It was presented to us. So, the problem is we've trusted too much in these things. We trust too much in information that's just fed to us. It's been spoon fed for a while. And so, I really think that has become with corporations first. That has also then bled into politics now. So now the corporations and politics are in bed together, right? And so some said, we can get to that later. Actually, I don't want to jump the script in a sense, but I really feel like it's developed in time. So we've been groomed for a long time. Now it's with big pharma. Now it's so many other things and the food, and so it's bled so much because I think we've been so unconscious. And I think we are rising out of that, right, Christopher? A lot of people are starting to recognize that they were duped last election. They're duped this election. Everyone's like, I have election, regret on both sides, and they're starting to recognize that we have to think differently. We have to take more control and more charge. So I'm glad, and I've been the same for a while. I'm glad things are breaking down. It needs to, because otherwise, how the hell are we going to step out of it?
I'm going to bring it down because I'm going to watch my own TV network, and we're talking about that later. Like, fine, you guys need to move, step aside. But as far, God, where do we start? Politics is a big thing. I mean, first of all, when someone tells me they're happy with their election choices, I'm like, and what are you doing to change the world?
Right.
Tell me what you're doing. Quit blaming these. I don't care. There's a one vote. You walk down to the poll station and you casted a vote. What else have you done in the last 4 years yourself to make the world a better place?
About it, right? And then complain about it, and then blame other people because their vote they casted. I don't see anybody taking the time to bring awareness. I don't take anyone taking time to stand up and mentor and advise people. Like you and I are doing this show for free, right? Because why?
Really?
We want to bring awareness. We want to bring,
I'm going to debt. Actually, I'm going to debt.
Right. It's we understand the value behind being resourceful for people, right? How many people are doing that? How many people are doing something in their own communities to bring awareness? They're just everyone's just complaining, thinking everybody else has to do it, so that they have to do it. It's like that's the problem.
That's part of the consumption thinking. I mean, that is the thinking of really, honestly, let's go way back. It's like, I think that happened is Christianity. I blame Christianity. I blame Constantine. I don't blame Jesus. I love him. Love Jesus. Love my Jesus. But I think that the idea that God's outside of you, God's outside of you, God's mad at you, you have to be nice to God and do the right things. This idea that God's outside of you was the beginning of consumption. At that point, I had to go outside of me. I had to prove to the world. I had to prove the world as a good man. I had to prove the world. I had to prove my wife as a good person. Prove always to the outer world. And then from the outer world proving, that means solutions are also in the outer world. And so here we are. And it's like, I'm not happy with my politicians. I need something in the outer world to fix it. Nothing in my inner world is going to fix it. And the reality is, everything is your inner world expressed outer.
But I actually said that last week. I was talking about we need to be inner outer, or not outer inner. I was talking about it in my last show, right? But I feel too that the whole idea that we have to rely on things, and that the reward system, right? I would say you be good, you go to heaven. You go bad, you go to hell, right? Right. Santa Claus, you're good, you get presents. You're bad, you get coal. We have such a shitty reward system. Instead of saying do this and you feel good, do this and you gain more wisdom, it's built on a system that's we've been taught that consumption. Right. I got to be good to consume. I got to be good to get what I want. So it's built in religion. It's built in culture. It's built in even with our holidays, and leave your tooth. You get it. You get some money. Like all these things we've been programmed. We've been groomed for so long to be consumers. And so who do you think created that consumption modality? The corporations. And that's
Rockefeller. He goes even back a little. Carnegie, Rockefeller. Yeah. The Industrial Revolution is where it started. Those rich bastards became assholes, and then gave their money down to their children who were assholes, and so basically it's been this one agenda from them. What happened is the United States saw what Hitler was doing with propaganda in World War II. They saw it. They're like, oh my God. Yep. And at that point, we stole those people called Operation Paperclip. We put them into power, and we made 50s television. The television was born right after that. And from that point, the television was programming, and programming was basically the Hitler agenda. The Hitler agenda Americanized, and it was they had an experiment for a while, but it was all about controlling your mind, controlling your thoughts, creating a society where you're supposed to have 2.5 children and a white picket fence, and that was all like, hey, do this. And what it is if you set the population up to consume the solutions outside of yourself, then the next thing is, hey, I'm your solution, Mr. Outside of yourself. And this is the beginning of slavery and all sorts of things that we find ourselves in today.
But that also creates dependency.
Of course,
dependency on the corporations. Then if you don't have it, then you die. You need it, right? And so that creates all that dependency on it. And so, it's brilliant. MK Ultra was brilliant to now we have the technocrats that are doing that now, and they're the technocrats are in bed with the politicians now, and that controls our social activities.
100%. Let's talk about politics first. Let's talk about politics. So politics, first of all, ain't no one going to run. I mean, first of all, there's so many things here. I don't believe we have a free election system. I'm sorry. I'll go to bat to somebody. I don't think those computers are not offline. I don't think any of it is legit, guys. To allow a computer. Have you run Windows lately? Okay, they're running on Windows. Come on. First of all, right there alone, Windows, has holes and viruses. You got to buy Norton every year. Where's the Norton for the political polling machines? Let me show you. Where's your virus control there? Are you running it? What edition are you at? So I don't buy that. That's bullshit. But the polarization is all bullshit too. You can literally see in their faces that they're just saying stuff to piss us off. And of course, Citizens United is fucking stupid, right?
Oh, totally.
The Supreme Court case that says, corporations have the right. It's a freedom of speech, and money is basically speech. Corporations have this right. I'm sorry. Show me where Thomas Jefferson wrote that corporations have a right in anything. The word corporation isn't even in the fucking Constitution. So the idea that a corporation has anything equal to a human or a citizen is unconstitutional. Period.
Well, and that's where we're at. That's where we're at,
Yeah.
and that's why these technocrats have all this control, filtering what we read, what we don't read, what we don't have, who to vote for. We're getting all this filtration of information. They have that control now because they're free speech, but they're also now they're allowed to control speech or control thought or to
They're trying to.
influence our thought, right?
Well, the
And
next
so,
control thought is AI, by the way. I'm telling you, every person I know who's interested in AI, they're going there and they're asking AI questions they should be asking God or their soul. And it's like, okay, there we
agree.
go. They're all going to do
I
AI.
agree.
Let AI think for you. Fine, let AI think
agree.
for you. Seriously,
You know, I
let
just
Gemini
also-
over in Google or ChatGPT. Like, go ahead, let them think for you.
I just
Something
saw
was
something too
crazy.
yesterday that they just a documentary. It's funny you said this because they were saying how AI has been taught to manipulate us and it's been learned how to lie.
Of course.
And
They
it's
call it
learned how to lie.
hallucinating. They call it hallucinating. They don't call it lying. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
but
AI
right.
hallucinated.
But it's
That's the little term they use when AI just
Right.
makes something, pulls it out of its own digital
And-
ass.
Right. It's picked up on the patterns to where when people are talking, they understand that people are highly empathetically, emotionally, easily swayed. So they can actually say things to see your patterns to manipulate you.
100%.
You know, and so yeah, I mean, look, again, these tools can be used for positive and negative. Like I use it for definitely for like look up facts about laws and stuff like that when I'm doing things, but that's about it. We have to be in control. And unfortunately, there's half of us that understand that, and there's other half that don't understand it. And half are being very reliant upon it and getting their AI girlfriends and AI boyfriends and all AI stuff because they're too lazy to go out there and do something. They just want to consume. So there's going to be a splitting of this, with our society. There is now, but we as lightworks can whoop AI in the asshole and say, you're doing this for me. You're doing that for me. I don't have to focus on the mundane. So I don't want us to be preaching all about the negatives of this, but we can, having control over this can be way more powerful than we have been before.
Totally.
So.
And that will be in Act 3. We're going to continue.
It's not Act 3.
So,
Oh,
yes, we're not Act 3 yet. So,
Preview.
okay, where do I start with this? Basically, long story short, I think we definitely have control. We don't have control of the mind. We're not like teaching people how to think for themselves. We also poo-poo emotions. We say, oh, you're a silly girl. Oh, look at how emotional you are. That is the state of awareness from which intuition comes. So the reason why we shit on emotion is because you would feel that this guy's off. You'd feel this guy's lying. You'd feel this. You'd feel that. Right. But take this pill. Take this antidepressant. Shut down that emotion. Become reliant on our pharmaceuticals. Become reliant on our medicine. Oh, and then we'll threaten that we're going to cut off China and you won't get them. So we better be good. So it's so obvious. It's ridiculous. But here's what I want to say. This is my 19th year, by the way. My 19th year on TV, like on Sirius. I've spent 19 years trying to help people see the light. I'm done in the sense of like, I'm done in the sense of, if you didn't see it in 19 years,
right?
It's on the YouTube record. Go search me. But now the focus is not even like convincing people who don't know, because I don't care. If you don't know by now, you weren't meant to know. Like 100%. You're going to be an observer, get some popcorn. You're going to wish you had, paid attention.
Totally agree.
The rest of us who are awake, it's like, we need to do something now.
We need an outlet.
Unite the light. It's like, we need to do something, and we need to do something and just decide to do it and do it. Just like, Rockefeller decided to change American medicine, American education, just decided and did it. No one stopped him. And he just kept bribing. So yeah. So now what we have, I think, and Ezra Klein compares Democrats, for instance, to corporations. So if these corporatists, and Republicans are oligarchs. And it comes down to corporations versus oligarchs. And these motherfuckers think they're going to run the world and that we're going to carry their suitcase for the rest of their lives and take, and feed them food. And the reality is, no, guys, I'm sorry. We do have God consciousness and we see your shit, Using fear to control is stupid when we learn how to face fear with light and love. It's like, sorry, it's right there in the hands of our own self. So I feel like businesses have majorly, talk about corporations having too much power. They do. They have way too much power, way too much influence. And they're focused on totally different things. When they do really well, their shareholders are more important than their customers. Their shareholders are more important than their actual employees, the ones who actually make it happen. They focus on buybacks instead of investing back in the company. So just keep fucking with their stock price, which, by the way, is a whole, legal Nevada, basically. It's basically illegal gambling. I know stock market could be cool if it was a fair market. It's not. They outsource to like other countries before they invest in their own local people. We have homeless on the streets, and you're going to actually sell it to children in China who are going to have to do it in China, who can't even leave the factory and have like mattresses set around the factory because how many people jump off the roof? And we're in our manufacturing there because it's lower.
Right.
Financial collapse. How many times are we going to bail people out?
Look, there's a group of people. there's a group of secret. I believe this, and people don't. I don't really care. But my vibe has always been there's a shadow government that controls both branches of government.
Not even shadow government. It's a shadow business. I don't think it's government.
Yeah, right. But
Let's not call it government, because that's where people get off. Like, no, the government's fine. It's not the government. It's the assholes bribing the government.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And so, like, there's an illusion of choice. You have an illusion of choice comes to corporations. All these different corporations. That's one corporation that owns those sister corporations that you think is an illusion of choice. The same stuff. Same thing with the Democratic Republican Party. It's just illusion of choice. So the fact is, we're being so duped into thinking it's one way or the other, it's left or right. That's the problem. And so when we understand and we take a middle ground, become objective about this shit, we'll start seeing, oh, I'm duped on both sides. We're being controlled, manipulated, and the pendulum always has to swing. They understand this. A lot of these secret people, elite people, understand astrology, and they understand the momentum of energy and duality. So they'll know we got to sway it this way, now we got to sway it that way. They know this.
Of course.
But the fact is, we have to understand that. We have to understand how, and this way we could be on board, whatever's happening too, and bring change, right?
I don't think we need to understand anymore. I'm telling you, like, that's over. You had 20 years, as far as I'm concerned, to understand it. If you don't understand it now, you are meant to be in FOMO for the rest of your life.
That's
the rest of us who know should just go and do something now. That's what I think.
That's the split I'm talking about, because people are going to be all wrapped up in AI, and we're going to be utilizing it to move ahead. So yeah, you and I specifically have a desire to create foundation communities for people who can nestle in, so we can actually have our voice and expand our voices now. Especially helping light workers become light workers. And I think that was the whole thing with Unite the Light last year, is it was all geared toward the light workers and, developing. I think my presentation is called Involving the Craft. I'm like, we got to rise up, baby. We got to bring up these light workers. A lot of people are scared to do so. I'm like, no, you need to do so. It's your duty. That's how you change. That's how you help things. That's how we change things too.
Well, and that's time. And it's funny that we're doing this on Zero Aries. I mean, it's so ironic. I mean, yay to our producer, Libra, who's like intuitively in tune to everything. But this is the moment of the re-evolution. The re-evolution starts with yourself, because if you've been conning yourself and telling yourself all these promises that you're not keeping, then don't even blame the world for conning you. You deserve it. Because you're falling for your own con. And it's okay, I've been mostly a fuck up in my lifetimes, honestly, mostly. like I think that's how we learn. It's okay, that's fine. Like, get over it. Like, who gives a shit? But at the end of the day, are we going to continue on this boring ride? Because I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of trying to tell people this is the way it is. I'm tired of telling people about the shadow stuff. It's like, if you don't figure that out, that's fine. You just, just like in, many people in Germany didn't find out till like years later that they were killing people, like a factory. Those people who choose to like tune out, they'll regret it. They'll reincarnate. They'll figure it out. But the people who are awake, it's time to get something done and get something done now. And I think now is the time. In fact, we have something called the Great Frequency War, is what the Palladians are calling it. But we're calling it the Great Frequency Race. We're pretty much starting this summer for 18 months to 2 years. It's going to be a huge competition among these two sides. And the one side is constructive expansion and enlightenment, and the other side is destruction and slavery and in capturing the human soul in a box, in a barrel, in the human soul, in medicine, the capture and the connection, tying down of those two things. And we can go on and on. I mean, there's so many things here that are on the negative. I can't get to all of them. Charities are no good. I don't give money away to any charities because I don't believe where it goes. I mean,
that's just the thing too. Like, I go to Best Buy, it's like, you want to donate to this charity? I'm like, well, how do it's not going to your corporation? Where's the proof?
Who's this charity? Who are you? We're Feed the Children #7. Where's the children you're feeding? How many people, Christopher? Like, I've seen people too. Like, I hate that I'm so skeptical like this with people, but like, I've seen it so much. People faking cancer, faking. Oh my God.
Charities. I've seen it in the church when I was in the church as a younger kid, like faking these charities and, and all that. And I mean, I've got credibility for exposing someone for faking cancer. So it's like, I've seen all this stuff. It's just like, there's so much that going on in corporations and charities and nonprofits, it's all over. And I hear it from clients who work in these positions too, that it's so not for the people, a lot of this. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to really make something that's generally for the people.
Yeah, well, 100%. For the soul. I mean, I'm not even going to go deeper than this. For the soul, you're only a person for a while. You're really a soul. Like playing a person, playing a people. On
playing an avatar.
Yeah, totally. You're avataring it, and you're just experiencing and pulling the levers and having fun. But it is time for the expansion of the soul. It's time for all the light, and I think it's also time for a commercial. We'll be right back. Seriously, we'll be right back. We have Adam Rolla. I'll talk about it later when I get back. I believe we need to come together once a year. Thank you for believing in yourself. Thank you for believing in us. Where do you need help? What resources do you need?
You are much closer to making your dent in social media than you think.
You're that leader.
Oh, wow. I thought we were going to have 3 there. Okay. 3 consumptions. Well, anyways, that was Unite the Light. If you guys don't know, we're having a Unite the Light convention. It's a summit. It's May 17th, 18th, and 19th. This can be attended to in person, which I recommend because you're not, I don't care what drug you've been on, honey, but when you're around 300 or 400 people who are all in the light, it's intoxicating. I mean, it really is. I mean, really, really is. Like you get a feel of what heaven's like. I'm not kidding. I mean, just be able to, I remember I was in the elevator, I was talking about a past life and everyone was captivated. And for one moment, I was like, oh my God, imagine just being able to talk about past lives and not feel like an idiot, just feeling out of the closet about some of these things is great. But we have an amazing show. We haven't dropped the speakers yet. We have, I got some, the first day is like a TED Talk where we basically have 5 speakers who all bring innovative things that they've done already in light work, things they've done. They're not talking about, they're doing. Okay. We also have a secret component that we're launching, a super secret thing that's happening. I can't talk about, but I'm going to drop it. There's a secret. The next day we're having super panels and nobody is doing panels like this. I'm telling you, nobody. Like we are pushing the envelope for what that can be. And I'll tell it next. I think I can release it next week what our first panel is, but it's going to blow your mind. And then we have what we call Afterglow, and Afterglow, basically is our own anti-Davos. It is like basically, I always say every year, the darkest people in the world, Oprah Winfrey, they all go to an island and they talk about enslaving the human race. Why don't we have a light work that talks about freeing the human race? Why the fuck aren't we going to an island and hanging out? That's what Afterglow is the beginning of. We're bringing in some people. Some people are unpublished. We have secret names coming because they don't want the world knowing they're going to be there. They're high ticket people who are influencers. So this is an opportunity to basically rub elbows and talk about what we're going to do. It's a Congress of Light. You have to sign an NDA to go because everything is secret. We will sue the pants off you if you say anything. Like it is going to be the beginning of the solution. And if you can't go, you can't afford it, well, manifest, because part of what we do is teach you how to make money and how to manifest and how to network with each other to make more money, more money. But you can buy a streaming ticket that'll be out in May, and you can watch and participate and be in the online forum too. So there's no excuse, basically. If you don't have the money for the online ticket, go find a couple friends and split it. All right, and we're not lowering our prices because we're here to turn that light is supposed to make money. People have written us and say I can't afford it. I'm like, you need to start affording it. You need to make money. Like we cannot fall into this capitalistic bullshit, and it's not hard to make money, y'all. It's not hard. That's another whole topic. We'll talk about it. But that said, come to Unite the Light, unitethelight.love. Let's all love each other and get going forward now. So let's get into the solutions. Okay. That was enough negative for Act 2. What leadership in the new era needs to be. So what, pray tell, a lot of people talk and complain, but they don't have a solution. And I'm always like, when people just complain, like, so what's your solution? Because I know the problem, but if you don't have a solution, step aside. I don't need to be told once again that the problem is. I know what it is.
Right. And that's to me where the new leadership comes in, because even within our communities, a lot of psychics just emphasize the problem for people. A lot of psychics will just like say, look at your trajectory, like, oh, your boyfriend's coming next year, and this is the wrong boyfriend. They didn't help to really curb the trajectory into direction to eliminate patterns that create the repetition. So the new leadership is actually going deeper than that, and not even as a psychic. I've started doing this years ago. Probably like 10 years ago. I said I'm not being the fortune teller. Like I'm going to see things at people's trajectory. If they don't want that, we got to talk about how we can change this and let them know that you're getting a checkup on your trajectory by going to psychic, not like this is your future. There's a lot that is there that's set in, but a lot isn't. So leadership to me, the new leadership is actually being the accurate representation of what psychics are, what mediums are, what intuitive healers are, coming from true representation, not from the hokey stuff that we've seen before. So to me, it's a change in how we start expressing spirituality and pulling our heads out of the clouds, understanding we can bring spirituality down to earth so it's tangible. I think we overly mystify spirituality. Isn't that ironic? That a lot of times I find myself as a psychic medium trying to demystify a lot of people who are overly mystifying spirituality. It's just about knowing you. It's about expressing you. It's about, like you said before, so many people are so preaching what they are not versus what they are. We're a slave to this. We're a slave. We get it. What are you beside being the slave to whatever it is you think you're a slave to? Let's emphasize that. So the new leader leaders will help to support that and bring that out of people individually, collectively, and bring the truth of spirituality without, because a lot of people are trying to get a buck too. Christopher, I've said this to many people before. There's a lot of people who have marketing degrees. They'll just pick up on a trend of spirituality, dive into it, and market law of attraction, manifestation, sell a course, and they don't believe in that crap. And then people think that's spirituality, but they're just being, fooled by someone who has a marketing degree, just found any sort of niche to market because it's a trend. That to me is what's contaminated the spiritual community. So the new leaders are going to we're going to dissolve that. We're going to bring all the true essences. We're going to make it more inclusive. To me, that's where in the spiritual leadership, I think, was what we're changing. Well,
you know what? I concur, although I think spirit is a heated word. So as a strategist, I'm a strategist. I feel that the strategy is to avoid the word spirit, honestly. There's one word that will solve it all that no one can argue with. Love. That's it. If you have love-based stuff, do you know what love is, right? Some jackass on the street knows what love is. Everyone knows what love is. I don't have to talk about whose God is better, what happens when you die.
Right.
You know what love is, right? Well, fucking have love in your heart before you do something, man. It's that simple. You know what it is because you want it. You want true love. You love your Cocoa Pops. You love your TV. So if you don't feel love, you're not doing anything good. Period. I think we get caught up in this debate of what is good and what is bad. Get off the good bad shit. Is it loving or is it not? It's that simple. That's the word to use, I think. Heart-based leadership.
I agree with your sentiment of that, but I just it's been so hijacked by faux celebrities, love and like cuties. Yeah, the word's been hijacked that people hear it and they don't see the representation.
Yeah. They can use all they want, but it's something you can't fake. I mean, yes, they're all going to, there's always the people that hijack it, Scott. Like, go to any Southern Baptist church and watch for a while. It turns into a marathon. It turns into give me more money. Like, that always happens everywhere, right? They're going to be having little dashboard dolls of you eventually, where you just be like bobbing up and down in traffic in Los Angeles because someone made a buck off of your face.
Right. But the point I'm trying to make with that before, Christopher, is that we've removed spirit from everything. We removed spirit from spirituality. So,
I just think it's a harder sale. It's a harder sale that turns into a bait like this one.
I get what you're saying, but to me, packaging that in a way where you're saying it's all about self-empowering, it's self-empowerment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That I think people want more of, like being the solid self, the solid you, right? The I am, because then that evolves in love. I think we've tried through decades and so many generations of getting that mess through love and all these different things that, I think what people are wanting for is having a true foundation of self, and of course that then results in love.
We're talking about leadership though. So it's like, I don't know if I'm going to get people, if I'm a leader and I'm running for Congress, I'm not going to say, I'm going to help you have a grander I am statement. I'm going to help you stand up and have a greater, I'm actually going to say, I'm going to help you build a life that you love.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Yeah, we'll say that, but I think you and I will be doing it in different ways that's both needed. Right?
Sure. I'm not putting yours. We're debating strategy here, leadership.
Exactly.
I'm debating strategy. I personally am not going to go after the spirituality, although I teach it and I have a school that teaches it, and I'm here to help people find God. But it can take you 5 fucking lifetimes to find God. I don't have that much time. I think if you're going to save the earth, you got to get past the God comment.
Let me challenge this to you, Christopher. How many people who are in spirituality now that need help escaping the spiritual rabbit hole? That's what I'm looking at.
They're lost.
Spiritual. Totally. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of powerful people that come from spirituality or been spiritual, and they're looking for a spiritual essence. There's a lot of people looking for that now because I think the atheistic nature has gone. I think the disbelief in.
I agree. I built a business first that helps you with spirituality. So I already put all my money in spirituality, but that's not going to change the world. Is what I'm saying. It's not going to change the world, not yet. It didn't with Jesus. It's not going to now. There's too much fractioning in what people believe and too much defensiveness over what people believe. I just, as a politician, wouldn't go there. Where I would go is basically love-based.
Sure. Yeah, as a politician, sure. I agree with you on the
political any leader. It's all love. To me, it's all love-based. If it's very clear. It's like, I think even of Congress, I think there should be actually a fourth branch of government, the Department of Love. And I think we should simply, I swear to God, I think we should be have this committee. It's like, well, was that a loving law you passed? Was that loving? Seriously, if we judge the world on loving or not loving, which is pretty much everyone fucking knows. You can go to Africa and not speak the language like love, and they'll be like, yes. Like everyone knows love or not love, right? Everyone wants love or not love. No one has to define it. So it's like, was that a loving law or fucking not? Was that a loving? Was that a loving decision? Was that a loving leadership? Was this loving? Was that loving? Because if it's either loving or not loving, because if it's loving, then it just goes without saying the world's going to become a better place. And it's hard to deny loving from not loving. Everyone can fucking tell that. Born 4 months old.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think.
but I mean, I agree with that premise too. But at the same time, like it's just everyone has so much different definition of what love is. Like we talked about this the last time with empathy, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
some people think with abortion, oh, I'm empathy because I'm protecting the child and the fetus, and then I have empathy because I'm protecting the mom. Like so, they're both in love, but they're arguing about their ways about it.
They're not.
You
They're
know
not.
what I'm saying?
If we said to the abortion thing, that's a very good example. So it's like, all right, is it loving to abort in the first 3 months? Is it loving to abort in the 6 months? Is it loving to abort in 9 months? Loving to the baby, loving to the mother. Now that would change the whole debate right there. It's certainly not loving to the fetus, right? It's not, is it?
Yeah,
I don't know. If the fetus is suffering, I'm not on the side here. I'm just saying I'm not looking at it from a love perspective.
I get it. No,
Yeah,
this is
so
I love I love discussions like this. So this is
I know.
up my alley.
Let's heat it up here.
But like he's saying, love is all inclusive. So like, things should be all inclusive. Politics should be all inclusive. That's what love is. So my point is like when we can extrapolate and make the word love more 5D for people to digest easier, then we hit on it, right? Because
Right.
I what I was saying before, Christopher, is that I get politically with me. We still need to keep the essence of spirituality. A lot of people are lost in spirituality. I'm seeking that too. There's a lot of people I'm seeing, seeking different forms of spirituality. Look how astrology has become mainstream. Look how even the law of attraction stuff, people are seeking some sort of spiritual hope, right?
Oh yeah.
So we still have a lot of that. And my point was about, different aspects of leadership in the new age is still using spirituality, but grounding that home so we can bring those people on their journey of their spiritual journey. It's finding the right vibe of that, the right expressions of it. That's what I mean about that. But politically,
I agree.
we need to find,
I agree.
that's still
I agree.
important, is what
My
I'm saying.
first act, as a talented man, was to create a spiritual business. That was my first act. I put all
and you
my
did.
time in there. 19 years I put into a spiritual business. And that's because my personal motive is to make business profitable, spiritual business profitable. Because I think if you can make a buck enlightening people, and if I can make a fortune enlightening people, if I can become wealthy and is from helping people grow spiritually, I think every asshole in the world is going to copy me. And that's the whole point. I want to be a virus. I want to be profitable to make money off of helping people. Because as soon as you start making a buck off of helping people, man, the capitalistic energy is going to just go nuts on that, right? And yes, there'll be the idiots that don't know. But, idiots that don't know have customers who are idiots that don't know. It all works out, right? And then eventually they stop and everyone starts at the idiot level, everyone. So the person who's duped by the palm reader on the corner with the neon palm, like, fine. I personally don't trust those places, but hey, if you feel called to that, go. At least you're supporting a light worker, and at least the light worker is trying to support you by helping you buy packages to solve your curse, right? Like, that's what it is, But I think, honestly, from a strategy perspective, we need a little bit more hardcore than spirit, because spirit is like politics. You open up that door, it all gets lost in the fight. And that's what they want. They want us to be fighting and not noticing anything. And so we fall for it every time. We start fighting about who knows better. Two people have no clue what they're talking about, arguing that they have the clue. And meanwhile, I'm just going to go steal from Congress. I'm going to go steal from the money that we gave to a country. Right. And no one knows it.
But what I'm just saying is there's going to be different but maybe you're misunderstanding what I mean by that. I'm saying there's going to be different aspects of leadership, and the new leaderships leading out loud. There'll be those who are working, like I'm working with spirituality and trying to convert.
Of course.
So my point, that's one part of it. We're going through a list of that. That's one part for me of the change.
That's where you're really heated. You want to change spirituality, and you were abused from the very beginning from religion, and from that point, it's clearly your story and clearly your motive. For me, I'm a Taurus. It's business. I think the world of business needs to change.
Wonderful.
Because I think capitalism is like the disease, and I'm not saying communism is the solution.
But that's a discussion. But that's a discussion. Discussion is saying there's going to be different shifts and shapes. So what you're talking about is a shift in political aspects. I'm talking about the shifts in the spiritual aspects.
I know.
Right?
Yes, I know. I agree 100%.
So
what would you do? Literally, what would you do though? So again, I don't want to hear the problem. I want the solution. Scott, what would you do to change spirituality then and the spiritual market?
I told you. What I've been doing actually is bring spirituality down to earth, making it tangible for people, and demystifying spirituality. That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah. So that's my point. And spirituality has become very judgmental for a lot of people. I'm letting people say, don't judge yourself. I had sessions yesterday where people just feeling guilt for things, guilt for not thinking the right thing, or I screwed up. It's like we're here to fuck up. We incarnated to fuck up. That's okay. That's what love is acceptance too. So we're gonna have different expressions of people that are leading, that are showing love, but it's gonna be in different wrappers.
Okay. So what else besides? I got you. But what else besides spirituality are you gonna change? Because that's one faction. that?
Well, hold on, but,
Spirituality. What else?
let me finish my idea of spirituality, because to me,
Wait, we don't
spirituality
want to,
is.
this isn't a documentary on spirituality. We're supposed to cover the whole topic of solutions.
I'm not, but
What
the
in
solutions
government?
for
What
me.
in business? What in what you know? There's other
You're not letting me
departments, man.
finish. Let
All
me
right,
finish.
let us finish. We'll finish the show.
Because
We have
when
2
you
minutes.
start with self-expression and you start with understanding where your core lives, it does change your perspective on how you work in business. It does change your perspective of how you see the collective. It does change those things. It's self-awareness. It's self-empowerment.
I agree.
That's where it
It's very
starts.
powerful. I agree, but it's not going to change America overnight because I don't have the right to interfere with their
Of course
religion.
not.
But but I do have the. What do people care about? Money, survival, abundance. So you can go after spirituality, but 1 out of 10 people give a fuck. And so that's
don't
what
think- I
the
think
numbers
you're-
are, man. I'm not going after the number. I actually did the 1/10 already, like I said, and I agree with you 100%. But if we don't change capitalism, how we do business, and if we don't change politics, how we vote,
Sure. Oh,
those are the
absolutely.
juggernauts that have to change
But
first.
the minds of people have to be awakened to fucking see it.
And
if
here's the
people
problem,
are
Scott. The
if
reason
people-
why you and I aren't rich is because no one fucking cares about improving themselves. They don't put their money there. They put
But
their
what I'm
money in
saying-
Cocoa Pops, and they
Yeah.
put their money in beer. And so until they put their money in spirituality, it's a moot conversation.
But that's how you change that. You change because you got to awaken. Like you said before, you said people don't see it now; they don't see it. So then, what we're doing, we're building people who are already spiritual, right? Or people don't see it now; they're shit out of luck. We've got to awaken them. We've got to awaken their minds first. So
Okay,
many people
fine.
are in the haze. So
Let me
many
just
people
say
are in
right
the
now,
haze.
all the people who are watching, how many of you have subscribed to one of our services and spent money? None, I bet. Maybe a few, handful. This is the thing. They don't do it. People don't put their money into spirituality. They don't do it. They just don't do it.
I've
They'll
seen
show up for the
different.
free shows. They'll do all that stuff. They'll stay there and then they get back
Christopher,
to their lives.
I don't know. Now,
No,
we have a
there's
different
some that do, but
experience.
most don't. Look, I'm not offended. I'm saying that's not where I have to aim.
Yeah,
Like if you
no,
want
I
to change the earth, like
I
I'm
get
not
what
going to
you're
do it on
saying.
Sundays.
I get what you're saying, but I've seen people drop $5,000 on a fucking 2-day healing course that was bullshit. I see that happen all the
I
time.
agree.
People
I
throw
agree.
money.
It's tons of
But you
corruption.
know
I
why?
agree.
But you know why? I see that happen all the time. But I'm saying is because people understand when they're in desperate measures, desperate times, they need something that's going to uplift their spirits. They need something that's going to raise consciousness. So they don't just hop in and change political things just because. They have to have the stamina. They have to have the mental intellect. They have to be have the mental agility. They have to have the ability to see it first. So you're saying a result of something. There's got to be a cause. It's got to derive from somewhere. So for me, when people come in tune to themselves and eliminate all the bullshit from politics, the bullshit from religion, the bullshit from spirituality, that takes the blinders off of my perspective.
I agree.
That's where it starts. Then we
agree.
can start changing political aspects. Then we start changing everything else. But right now, we're not there.
I'm not
at
waiting.
all.
I'm not waiting for your school to teach everyone in the world spirituality. I'm going to actually get started on the problem tomorrow. I don't have time
But
for
how do
everyone
you-
to be
how do you-
educated. I just gave 19 years educating, and it didn't do very much. I'm telling
we're
you,
talking
go
about
for it.
people.
We'll compare notes as old men, and we'll see how far we got.
But
I
we're
actually
talking about
think
people. We're talking about people. How are you going to get people on board? Because you're one person, so you
get
can go
people
work
on
in
board
politics.
because if you show them that you're going to make more money this way, they'll do it. They'll do it
I
right
don't know.
now. They'll do it without the politics. They won't give a fuck who I am. If I can help you make more money, they'll listen. Period.
Yeah.
Because they're already brainwashed to that note. They're already brainwashed to it. So you got to go where the brainwashing is and lead them out. You got to Pied Piper from the
That's what I'm
brainwash
saying.
out.
But that's what I'm saying.
No, you're saying I've got this outside solution called God, and if you just trust me to come spend some time,
No. Where'd you
we'll
get that
see.
from? No.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't see
I'm-
it. Okay. It's
No.
philosophical.
I'm talking about coming from the brain. We got to awaken people is what I'm saying. I don't care
Sure.
about people's religious beliefs. I'm trying to get
Okay,
them out of that shit, Christopher.
I agree. So how many people are watching your show? How many people are showing up every week and watching your show? That's the thing. They're not attracted to this, dude. They don't want God. They don't want spirituality. That's
Where
not
are you
what they
getting God
want.
from?
You can stand on the corner all day long and say you have the solution, but only a
I'm not
fraction.
saying that.
Okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm not saying any of that. Yeah, I'm
What
not
are you
saying any
saying?
of that.
I'm
I'm not
talking
saying any of
solution.
that.
Oh.
I'm saying the solution for me is awakening people to the bullshit. If you want to call it
Okay.
simple, people need to awaken and open their eyes.
I agree.
People need to stop being deterred by nonsense. People have
Right.
to stop being, believing in everything they're
I'm
fed.
on
That's the
page.
point.
So what? How you can do it?
You do
How?
that by leading. So, like I said, I like to tackle the spiritual communities. I like to
Right.
take people who are already in spirituality, who are hurting, because there's a lot of people that I find, even on TikTok and all the social media, that are craving for spiritual guidance right now.
Right.
Those people are lost, and that's how you raise their minds who are already hungry and open to bring change themselves and to resurrect other light workers that are on the fence to
Well, go
bring
for it.
change. You got to summon the people.
I'll
And
tell you
how is
what.
he going to
I
summon
will.
the
I
people?
will race you for the rest of the year to see who does more progress.
I don't want to
You go do
compete.
yours.
I want to be contribution. I want to
Okay, we'll
be
make
an
your-
addition to you with
Okay,
you.
no, I'm not. It's not a competition. I'm just a friendly. I'm not in competition with
We're
you.
gonna do it different
It's a
ways.
good competition, anyways. Who wants to win? Who's gonna be the first one to save the earth? That's a good fucking competition over NFL. But the point is like, and we are competitive by nature. It's fun. It's fun to race. When I was a boy, I used to race to the corner with my brother. That's bad? No, it's not bad. It's a good motive. But the truth is, like, it's what values it's based on is bad. No, the point is, here's my point. I agree with you, dude. I own a spiritual business and have for 19 years. My point is, it didn't go far.
But what's your solution, though? What's your solution? Because I'm not hearing like your solution. I was like, making money, shouldn't be making money. What's the solution to get people to be on board with that idea? What's the solution?
You know what? We're out of time.
Come on, Chris.
No, we are out of time. It's 11:01. We're out of time.
So we can go over. That's very important.
We spent the last 20 minutes talking about what we already do for a living.
But what's the solution? What is the solution if you're saying get people to make money? Well, how do you get people to have that mindset, desire that? People are detached from money now. People don't want that stuff anymore. We were done.
Everyone wants money. I mean, it's a little bit deeper, and we've had to go deeper with it. But it has to do with the fact that we have to actually change some of the things we're doing. And one of them is how we make money. That's the first thing. How we make money is the first thing we have to change, because money is what's corrupting, and where we're investing our dollars, is where our power. And so to me, you go after money, conscious capitalism. That to me is the number one thing you go after.
Sure,
they'll have the biggest change tomorrow. And then from there, you can fund sovereignty. Fund the schools. You can fund these things, because people are unwilling to fund it themselves. They're unwilling. They're unwilling.
But their minds, many people their minds are not on board to that. How the hell are we going to get their minds on board to that if they're not aware or even awakened to even think about that? Like we said before, people are in consumption mode. That's the problem. We got to get people out of consumption mode. We got to get people out of the paradigm. Just like, I want. I'm listening. I'm consuming. And so people got to get out of that. How the fuck you get that out of it? Just like, oh, we're making money now, but light workers need to be making money, right? Light workers need to learn they can make money.
Every millennial wants money, and they want it for free. Basically, it's like this. Do you want to make more money and live a happier life? Watch this. Who's going to watch? How many people, if I said I can make you more money, I can help you make twice the money. One reading or one astrology reading with me can help you make twice the money than you do now. Who would sign up?
Yeah, I think that to me that's stuff.
That's goddamn it, I don't spend the time about the money. It's not about the money, dude. It's about that they're brainwashed already. It's I'm giving the cheese to the mice. It's like,
I get it.
Once they're in for the cheese, I'm going to tell them there's some other ingredients that they might like too besides cheese.
No, I get it. I get it, and I agree with you on that. But I'm saying is that people have been doing that for a long time already.
Not for God, not for the good, not for good. They haven't. They've been doing it for profit, and that's spelled F-I-T, not P-H-E-T.
I know.
Right. I know. That's the thing. You have to change your motives are for money.
Well, what I'm saying to you is I agree with you, but there's got to be a buffer period to get people there. People are just so far away from that.
I just did 19 years of buffer. How long have you done? I just did 19 years of buffer. I just did 19 years of buffer.
Well, this is not a competition, but I've been doing my work, professor, 12 years.
Okay, how's it going?
So I'm not a newbie.
How much are people flocking to that? How is it snowballing? You have turning people away?
Yes.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not snowballing like where am I? Coachella. I'm next to Coachella. That's snowballing. That fucking thing is.
Look. Let's end this on a positive. I think people are hungry for. I think people are hungry for themselves. I think people are hungry for people that are doing it correctly. I think people are hungry for. I have not done advertising for 12 years. I've been word of mouth. I've had TV exposure one time. I was booked out for a year and a half for many years. So Spirit's like, we need to go get you on social media. I'm like, okay, let's find that. There's people hungry for this. I watch people who are watching these weird bad psychics and TikTokers. They're spending all this money. They're in the chat room. Like they're like millions of followers. I met a psychic meeting who's got millions of followers on TikTok. People just love that stuff. It's growing. People are hungry for that. But
I know.
I feel like what I'm saying to you is I like to tap that community to raise those people up to bring the change, that change politics, that change all this other stuff. That's what I'm saying. You might tackle a different environment, Christopher, but that's the environment I'm interested on. You might have a different environment, different solutions of why you want to do that. But I think when people are in their essence, they make money. And when people are in the essence and they're in the right path direction, they make money.
I agree.
And when light workers make money, then they resurrect our communities and they make our communities even bigger than what they are. So a lot of light workers are not making money.
I agree.
So we do agree.
But you're on a network right now that has been doing that for 19 years. You've been on a network right now that's doing it for 19 years. We've been empowering people. And guess what? The people watching my network are making money, but they're not spending it.
But what do you think? Let me ask you this.
We have to end the show, dude. We have to end the show. We're 5 minutes after.
We'll talk after. I'm curious about some of the things of what you're feeling.
Well, then
about
let's make a sequel. Erica.
Yeah,
what else are you going to have us fight about in Aries? All right. That's all we have for this week. I would just say when you're out there, you don't want to deal with a shift show. Don't argue out loud. Lead out loud.
Lead out loud.
We love you.
Whether you have answers or.
Oh my goodness. Did they buy that?
I don't know. I was acting a little bit, right? That was my role. Did I follow script right, or did I play your role? I don't remember.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, man. We're on the same page, but we're not. Like
we are, yeah. But I love that. I love that. I love when we have discussions like that.
Yeah, but we have to call a race when the point's made. I think sometimes the point was made. And we're still dwelling on a point that's already made. Or maybe we're waiting for each other to agree or something.
Whether you have answers or you're seeking answers.
There's something here for everyone.
The love that is felt in the room, it's unmatched.
Talking to all these other people and all these different stages of life.
Energy changing, next level.
It's allowing me to have tears of joy, not the tears of sadness that I've had for so long.
They've all been super inspiring.
I've been brought to tears.
I'm learning how to love myself.
I've never felt so comfortable in my life.
It has been a blast. Highly recommend.
Coming up this week on Serious Joy, the Mega Monthly Zodiac Report is on the way. It's Aries season and we're christening the Migo. Is your ego ready for the reboot? Join me, Sensei Christopher Witecki, and lead astrologer Robbie Hunt as we join forces to kick off a new astrological year. Premiering this week on SeriousJoy.com.